Pisco might be the hardest thing to make dealing with rain compared to like a wine, because there's so little that you can do to manipulate it afterwards. Your hands are kind of tied.
It's big challenge for us when this happens. Fortunately, it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
The
Rain
Ica
in
Valley
Ica.
is desert, you know.
Yeah.
So we don't see rain at all.
Yeah.
But every 5, 6, 7, 10 years we get El Nino and it rains. But yes, the challenge there is by law, by regulation, we cannot manipulate the wine. We cannot add tartaric acid, citric acid. We cannot really add foreign yeasts.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is natural.
Mm-hmm.
So when this happens, you have to be very careful because you don't want the wines to acidify and then,
Yeah.
turn everything into vinegar.
Yeah. And when harvest comes around, you go all in. You go down to Peru for a couple of months, yeah?
Yes, I normally move down. I think it's one of the most beautiful parts of the whole process.
You always get quiet near the start of the year. You just kind of disappear for a couple of months.
Yes. Funny enough, people find me and they come and visit, which is a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. We work around the clock, 24-hour.
What's a typical
days.
day for you during harvest?
Well, you wake up at 5:30 in the morning and you try to be on the fields, as soon as the sun rises, and it's intense, harvesting. Very hot. By 10 o'clock, everybody's done. I mean, we have all the grapes in crates, and then the trucks come from the fields to the distillery. And, we go through the crush. And at that time, for several days, you already have all the wines fermenting. So you need to taste all the wines in the morning and in the evenings, because depending on the temperatures, they might taste a little bit different. But right at the time that we are making the wines, just by tasting the juice, you know exactly what kind of pisco you're going to be making. So,
Yeah.
And it's important to taste it. I mean, we obviously use all the instruments that are necessary to measure, the sugar levels, density, and so forth. But there's nothing more delicious than putting it in your lips and then start thinking forward. This is the pisco that is going to result from this wine. And when the wine is ready, we cap it. We vacuum cap it. We fill the tanks all the way to the top, and then the wine waits until it gets to the pot.
Mm-hmm. So you got that muscle memory at this point to really rely on your palate to guide you as you're making these.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it's my 16th year doing it, and I think I learned something by now.
Yeah.
But you're always learning.
Yeah.
Every year there's something new. There's some challenge. As the weather changes and the fruit changes and the plant changes, you're constantly seeing this evolution coming together, and it's fun. The whole year is fun because you see the little plants, you see the old plants, you see how they hibernate, and lose all the leaves, and then in the spring they come back, and they flower, and then they produce this fruit, and this fruit now you're starting to look at it, growing, and then you taste it and you see how rich, the sugars are, and it's an amazing experience, but it's fun to live it.
And when you think back to your first couple of harvests distilling, what was the learning curve like? What were your challenges? What did you have to figure out?
Well, we always wanted to be very original and follow the practices that the former owners that sold us the distillery practice. So Mr. Mendiola was part of our team, and he taught us all the tricks that his mother taught him. So it was very empirical. In the old days, they didn't even use alcoholimeters to measure alcohol. Everything was by watching how the bubbles, inside the pisco, twirled, and then they would guess, what the content of alcohol was in the pisco. But he taught us a lot of that craftsmanship that was passed and handed down, from one generation to another. And as we were learning, we were also learning that some of the old inefficiencies could be cured by modern technology.
Yeah.
So not stepping on the grapes, but using a pneumatic press actually improve the quality of the pisco without breaking you away from being craft. You're still hand making it. You're still involved, hands-on.
Mm-hmm. And it seems to be exciting times down at Bodega San Isidro as you guys are expanding, yes?
Yes. It's the pisco category is still very small, but if there's something, it's full of passion. Everybody that is in this business, is very passionate about pisco, its history, its quality, and it's growing slowly because the world is still learning about it. But for us, it's been a very good ride, even though it's 16 long years, growing little bits and pieces, we're growing, and that's the right tendency. So little by little, we've been expanding the bodega, and it's exciting when there's a little bit more to challenge us.
Certainly, and right now it's an exciting time as Torrentel, single varietal pisco, is making its way to the shores of the U.S.
Yes.
What's going on with that?
Well, there's 8 grape varieties that we could make pisco from, and we've been specializing on 3, on Quebranta, Italia, and Torrentel. And we've been releasing them slowly so that people, as they learn, they can really appreciate them. So now we're releasing our 5th product in the U.S. We had the Quebranta, we had the Italia, we had the Acholada, which is a blend. We had the Mosto Verde Italia. And now we're bringing the Torrentel, which is, another type of aromatic grape. Very delicious, high viscosity. It's a mouthful, but it has all these beautiful notes to, citrus blossom, has this lemon and a nice acidity to it, has nice, peach and white pepper notes. It has a beautiful complexity. I love drinking it neat, but if you do a great pisco tonic with it, it'll blow your mind.
Yeah, why does it work in a tonic, do you think?
It works really well because it has this flower aromas and flavors, like lilacs, have a little bit of that effect that gin does, with the juniper. This one has, a little bit of, caraway notes. It has a little bit of peach, but it has that licorice, hints, and it really blends well with tonic.
And floral's a word that you hear associated with Italia typically. If you have an Italia and a Torrentel in front of you, how do you tell the difference?
Oh, there are big differences. The Italia tends to be a lot more tropical notes.
Okay.
So while the Torrentel is more flowers, white flowers and purple flowers, lilacs, the Italia is tropical notes, super aromatic. You have melons and ripened melons and honeydews. You have green apples. You have honeysuckle. There's such a complexity. And all of a sudden, you try it again, and then there's a little passion fruit, and there's a little mango. It's really a tropical symphony, the Italia. While the Torrentel has more that softiness to flowers. And not so intense as the Italia is.
I'm so excited for it to get here.
Oh, it's delicious.
Yeah, it makes me very happy. We had the chance to drink it down in Peru, and it was quite delicious. And I love being able to taste the single varietals, it's such a unique idea to spirits that carries over from wine, and that character, it shines so well in a pisco.
It certainly does. I think pisco is, I guess, the only spirit that you can really taste it and appreciate it like you appreciate wine. And it has all these different aromas and flavors, such great complexity that, to me, the world needs to understand pisco by appreciating each variety. And the Quebranta is so unique as a sweet grape with a lot of pastry notes and creams and very nice soft notes to cocoa, dark chocolate. and then you have the Italias and the Tarantellas that are, a revolution of just aromas, flavors, tropical notes. It's really important to me to be able to have a selection of different piscos, so that the people that work with them and drink them, can really appreciate the complexity.
And we were talking beforehand, and you went to an ambitious cross-section of bars here in San Francisco last night. And as a Pisco drinker, what'd you see?
I see more Pisco in the bars.
Yeah.
Sometimes we want the category to grow fast, but I only need to turn around and look 16 years ago. There was nothing out there.
Yeah.
And now every bar that matters carries Pisco. If you, even in the world, look at the top 250 bars,
Yeah.
they all will carry one Pisco or another. So I think that it's slowly growing, and San Francisco is the epicenter of Pisco in America.
It really is.
Here's where the Pisco Punch was invented. So, we owe the existence of Pisco as a cocktail in San Francisco.
Absolutely. And very exciting times. I know we're connecting later on today about our film and spreading that message and the Pisco Punch and that whole story. So in the midst of the final stages on that, and very excited. And I am curious what's happening in Lima these days in terms of the drink scene, because we were down there a couple of years ago and it was impressive, but I have to think it's only gotten better.
It's grown incredibly. I think that the bar scene in Lima, it's catching up to the gastronomy of Peru.
Yeah.
Quite fast. They're making amazing cocktails, classics, contemporary classics. They're using great supply of raw materials, of fruits, of essences. It's really, really great. Plus, with the evolution of Peru becoming a very fast-growing country, better modifiers, better quality products have been imported. So now you have not only a great selection of Pisco and cocktails made with Pisco, but actually the cocktail scene itself, better gins, better vodkas, better whiskeys, rums. I mean, the bars, you see them and you are starting to really appreciate that not only the gastronomy is very full, complex, and great, but the bars are serving much better cocktails.
And something that really I wasn't aware of previously is the fruit that's available. And, we had a chance to go to a farmer's market with you, but there's more fruit that I've never seen before than stuff I'm familiar with. And I have to think that's starting to affect cocktails as well.
Definitely. As we are getting better chefs going into the jungle of Peru was never as exploited as the coast and the mountains. But as these chefs are penetrating the jungle, they're bringing so many amazing different types of fruits, vegetables, ways in which they prepare them, fermentation processes that are using for the food, and to make beverages that is really opening the fan of cocktail opportunity in Peru.
So have you had any interesting Pisco cocktails lately? Anything innovative out there?
Well, everything is innovative. Every time that you challenge yourself to do something new. I see a lot of fortified wine being used in cocktail making.
Yeah.
We make a fortified wine called Perfecto Amor.
Yeah.
And I've seen the Perfecto Amor now joining the cocktails instead of a vermouth. It's technically a virgin vermouth.
Yeah.
But to me, that's innovative. I think that's the cross when you start making cocktails, with wines, fortified wines, and so forth. I think that keeps opening the fan for the consumer to appreciate.
But what about straight up Pisco? Is anyone doing anything that has really caught your attention? Either a single cocktail or just in terms of an overall kind of bar concept?
You mean straight Pisco?
Or using Pisco in cocktails.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Pisco is being used more. It's interesting because the people are used to making cocktails with white spirits. And for the longest time, vodka was, the preferred spirit. but I've seen a migration to Pisco because Pisco has a lot more character and flavor, and therefore is enhancing that cocktail. The Moscow Mule is what made vodka popular here, but I've seen a lot of Pisco mules being served because it has a lot more flavor than just a ginger beer. It adds up and complements the cocktail real well.
Nice. And what about around the world? You've been doing any international travel?
This year, I haven't yet. I have great plans to start traveling starting next week. But I will be traveling because last year we were very busy with the expansion of the plant, so I had to put my head into that process. But I'm very excited. I'm going to go to Europe a couple times. One of them is to go to the Berlin event, the show, which is a superb show to go
Bar
and visit.
Convent?
The Bar Convent.
Yeah.
The Berlin Bar Convent.
Yeah, that's fun.
And also Greece has now produced a bar event that is starting to catch attention in November. So I'm looking forward to participating there. I think we're the only Pisco in Greece so far. We started a few years ago when nobody was paying attention to Greece, but Greece actually is a great destination for people to go on vacation and actually have cocktails.
Yeah, and are you going to do Tales this year?
Yes, I'm excited about coming to Tales again. This will be my 12th year.
12th year?
Yeah.
It's right around the corner.
Yes.
By the time we post this, it'll be right around the corner.
Yes. I look forward. I always look forward to go to Tales. I think it's a great place to meet and greet, all the people that sometimes we don't have a chance to see during the year. So it's a great networking and obviously hang out with my friends of Anchor Distilling.
And it seems like Tales has a special relationship with Pisco because the reintroduction of Pisco in the U.S. has kind of paralleled the emergence of Tales in a way.
Yes, I feel very connected to Tales for a lot of different reasons, but the first time that I attended Tales, I think it was the second or the third Tales that they were doing, but it was the first big one that was coming. It was the year right after Katrina. And I'll never forget, I went to a Cheers convention actually in January, just 4 months after Katrina had devastated New Orleans. And it was a great meeting amongst friends that were participating into this idea of Tales that Ann Tuderman had put together. So it was my first big event that I went all out, and we participated, with seminars and events and spreading the word. And there were a bunch of great bartenders that actually picked it up, and from there, every year Pisco has become a little more intense. Now we have this Pisco Pavilion that I call it, organized with the Trade Commission of Peru. So it's great to see many brands of Pisco working together to present the category, and we all offer cocktails and experiences, and we tell our stories.
Seems like Tales has been a really important part of the Pisco kind of brand building, the category building.
I would say yes. I think Tales is a great center for the best of the best in the trade to come together, and because of that, we had an opportunity to display to the best of the best, the Pisco category. I was the first brand, but then a few other brands came together, and we like when we work together. I think Tales gives us that opportunity every year. We don't do that anywhere else in the world yet. But it would be great if we could start doing a Pisco Pavilion, 4 or 5 times a year in different parts of the world. The category might grow faster.
And what's next for you? I mean, this expansion, what's that leading up to? What's your vision for the future look like?
I am convinced that the category is growing. I am very convinced that we are growing, and we haven't, even touched the tip of the iceberg. Most Pisco is sold in 2 countries, Chile and United States. That more or less is about 75-78% of the Peruvian Pisco. I've made a conscious decision to spread it differently. To me, United States is only a quarter of what I sell. Chile is very small, but I've been planting going to other countries. We're in 31 countries now.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I'm making great efforts to be in those countries, but we're planting the seed. And when that seed will germinate, you know, and all of a sudden you're going to see a very well-populated Pisco category. So in that anticipation, I've expanded the distillery, and we are starting to penetrate now other countries, Argentina, Paraguay, Bolivia, other countries that, you know, understand Pisco, and for many years they haven't been able to bring it in. There's a lot more countries really, really drinking Pisco. It's amazing. And we have great ambassadors for the country. You know, we have people that have made their quest, not only producers, but people that are experts in Pisco, tasting it, and then talking to the public of how to taste it and how to drink it.
So in terms of expansion, what are you actually expanding?
Capacity to receive more grapes.
Yeah.
And be able to hold more wine.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first part of the expansion.
Mm-hmm.
The second part of the expansion will be to add a couple more stills so that we can process that wine. The window of opportunity on the harvest is very small.
Yeah.
Because there's very few integrated producers that they have the grapes and they have the distillery. Most Pisco grapes, specifically Quebranta, are produced by artisanal suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to go and buy the grapes. And when we go out and buy the grapes, everybody wants to get their grapes picked up at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you only can pick up 2 trucks at a time, and there's 1,000 trucks that you have to pass through, it becomes a problem. So by expanding, it helps us service better the supplier of grapes.
That
And
seems
we can-
kind of game changing in terms of just being able to operate efficiently and just raise your game as a Pisco producer.
Well, it's a way to be able to support grape growers.
Mhm.
I've been working very hard developing these relationships. I mean, these are families of artisanal producers that I've known for years, and I try to every year help them the best that I can. And one of the best ways to help them is if I can pick up the grapes faster.
Mm-hmm.
If I can help them, get their fields ready so they can be watered, that the plant can be, treated right. So we're more and more involved in trying to help these people, produce better, produce more.
Mm-hmm.
If they produce more, we benefit. If they produce better quality, we benefit. So by expanding, we feel that we're also giving them an opportunity to improve.
Awesome. And finally, as I mentioned, we are going to have an opportunity to do some storytelling in the future of the film. But in the meantime, what message do you have for bartenders? Our audience is primarily bartenders. What would you like to say to them on behalf of the world of Pisco right now?
Please pick up a bottle and open it, and don't think of Pisco as a mono-level spirit. It has a ton of complexity, and it's okay to have a Quebranta and an Italia and a Torontel and a Nacholalo behind your bar, because you will be amazed by the flexibility that you have in making great cocktails with them.
I like that game. Go for the range. Sir, it's always a pleasure. You're a gentleman and a scholar, and I know we have many more great adventures to come. Let's do this.